Hey, it's time. I think it's time. It's time for the Classic Guitar Rock Daily Update. I'm Jeremy, and thank you so much for joining me. And ripped from the headlines, the Talking Heads. I had no idea. I've always liked the Talking Heads. They're quirky, they're fun. David Byrne is a very interesting guy. Um, David Byrne is autistic. I don't know that a lot of people know that. He's on the spectrum. I think he specifically has Asperger's. I've seen a few uh, presentations. I don't know if presentations is the right word. Appearances, interviews where he talks about um, autism. He talks about Asperger's. Many of the most brilliant people in the world have Asperger's, right? I think Elon Musk has Asperger's. I think I might be speaking out of turn. I have a son with Asperger's. I think Bill Gates might have. There is a direct correlation between very intelligent people and Asperger's, and so it's always fascinating um, to hear those people talk about what Asperger's means to them. Um, Obviously, David Byrne, brilliant performer, super intelligent, and I think that's usually the case with folks that have Asperger's. So I've always been a fan of David Byrne, been a fan of the Talking Heads. So why are they coming up? We haven't heard much about. Do you realize, other than their induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame back in 2002, the last time they performed as a band was 1984 live. They've had albums since then, but the Talking Heads, there's the four members, right? David Byrne, Tina Weymouth, Jerry Harrison, and Chris Frantz. Those are the Talking Heads. Those four people. However, if you ever see a Talking Heads concert, there's like 30 people on stage, right? A huge production, and I think as far as producing albums, they bring lots of people in and all that. So it's a Talking Heads as a band of four people is kind of a misnomer because it's you got the four, but they bring in all kinds of other people that are involved, and it's an interesting dynamic. Well, why are they in the news? They're in the news because they have been offered $80 million to headline 6 to 8 festival gigs and headlining slots. Uh, uh, Live Nation and Golden Voice have both offered the band staggering amounts of money to reunite and perform some dates, and they've said no. They don't want to do it. Interesting. Um, this is David Byrne talking about how um, they've been estranged, right? They haven't really done anything. He says, we have a cordial relationship now. We're sort of in touch, but we don't hang out together. He admits he has regrets about how Talking Heads ended. He reportedly just left the group without even discussing it with the rest of the band. Quote, I don't think I did it in the best way, but I think it was kind of inevitable that it would happen anyway. So interesting. Again, David Byrne, very interesting individual. Talking Heads, very quirky, interesting musical unit, but they're not interested. Take your money and shove it, is basically what they're saying. Ace Frehley. I love Ace. I love talking about Ace. I know I make fun of him. I make fun of Kiss, but I'm a huge Kiss fan. I'm a huge Ace Frehley fan. I think he's awesome. He's back in the news, speaking exclusively to Rock Candy Magazine as part of they have a 14-page cover story about Ace. He explained to writer Andrew Daly why he never made it on stage one last time with Kiss for their final show at Madison Square Garden last December after leaving the band in 2002. Remember, he left the band in the early 80s, right? His picture's on the Creatures of the Night album cover, but he didn't play on the album. He didn't play a whole lot on the last few albums, to be honest. Before that, right? He came back for the reunion tour in like 97 and was with them from 97 to 2002. Left in 2002. but he never showed up. Now there's conflicting stories here. Now Ace says he wasn't there because he wasn't invited. But Gene and Paul have said that Ace and Peter were both invited. So I don't know what this is all about. But he dismissed the idea that his troubles with drugs and alcohol were the reason that former bandmates and Gene Simmons and Paul were not reaching out to him. Well, they claim they did invite him. He says they didn't. He says it didn't have anything to do with his history of drugs and drink. Quote, I'm sober and all my friends and associates will tell you as much. I got to the point in life where drugs and alcohol had taken me over, and I'm just so happy to be away from all that. Ace does seem happy, right? You see the interviews, he's in a good place, which is good for him. Quote, I want people to know that I do love Paul and Gene. I wish things would have been different, but it wasn't to be. And he talks about Tommy. He says he's a good guy and deserves a break. He's not me, but he was never going to be me. In a lot of ways, his task was impossible. And that's true. I mean, how do you replace someone that's so iconic in the minds of avid Kiss fans, right? The guitar playing issues aside, Tommy's a way better player. But that aside, Kiss or Ace is Kiss, right? Ace is the man. So I get it. You're never going to be able to replace a legendary character like Ace Frehley. Speaking of other former band members, Iron Maiden singer, who do you think I'm going to say? Paul Dion? No, not Paul. No, not Bruce. Remember this guy? Former Maiden singer Blaze Bayley will release his new solo album, Circle of Stone, on February 23rd. And they've dropped a video today. You should check it out. It's kind of cool. The single is called Rage. It tells the story from Welsh folklore of Gellert, the faithful hound, and his unfortunate demise at the hands of his beloved owner, Prince Llewellyn. Yeah. The animation for the video was developed by Hot Frog Animations, and the song features violinist Ann Baker, who also worked with Blaze during the Infinite Entanglement trilogy. I saw just a snippet of it. Now I got to go watch the whole thing. Blaze is an interesting cat. I kind of like him. There are mixed opinions about his tenure with Iron Maiden. Some people really liked what he did with Maiden. Some people not so much. But that's worth checking out. And here's a thing I've noticed. You know, I'm a huge fan of the new Saxon album. One of the things that Iron Maiden is famous for, and really this is Steve Harris is doing. Steve Harris, the primary songwriter or lyricist for Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden has always been big about history. So you listen to an Iron Maiden album, you'll hear stuff about World War II. You'll hear medieval stuff. You'll hear famous poems, you know, Rime of the Ancient Mariner, long form poetry stuff. I mean, it's cool. It's educational. One thing I've noticed with the new Saxon album, the last few Saxon albums, I don't want to say they're copying Maiden, but I will say they have taken a similar bent over the last few years of really digging into historical things, whether it's Roswell or Marie Antoinette, you know, whatever. 1066, they had a song called 1066 about the Crusades or something on their previous album. There's a real, they're digging from that well of history, which is, I think, kind of cool, right? It's kind of cool where and it's led to interesting conversations as I'm in the car and I've got one of my sons with me and I'm like, what's this song about? Is this about the Crusade? Yeah. Is this about Roswell? This about UFOs? Yeah. So it's pretty cool. I like that. I like that idea of digging into history for the source material of your songs, rather than just singing about sex, drugs, rock and roll type. I like the history bent. It's kind of cool. And again, loving the new Saxon album. If you haven't heard it yet, you need to listen to it. NASCAR. I come from a long line of rednecks, so NASCAR gets me excited. Okay. Have you ever been to I haven't even been to a real NASCAR event, just stock car racing. That's fun. I mean, and the people watching is as fun as the racing. There's nothing like the smell of gasoline and burnt rubber and the risk of a tire flying into the crowd and taking your head off. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than that. You go to a 1/4 mile track, a little tiny track, or a 3/8 oval, and watch guys that race on the week. That's America right there. Seriously, it's a blast. You should do it. NASCAR has announced that renowned guitarist Nita Strauss will perform the U.S. national anthem prior to the 2024 Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum on Sunday. So February 4th in the Coliseum. Now, the Coliseum is a stadium. They play football there. Well, for February 4th, they've hauled in the dirt. I guess it's not dirt. NASCAR doesn't race on dirt, but it's a NASCAR race inside the Coliseum. Imagine the tight quarters there. Fascinating. I'm going to watch it. I think that'll be cool to see the NASCAR race inside that tiny Coliseum. They won't be going super fast. They can't. I mean, when I say super fast, they'll only be going 80 instead of 140. It'll be exciting. Well, Nita Strauss is playing the national anthem. Nita Strauss, excellent guitarist, of course, famous for playing with Alice Cooper. She left Alice for a while to be Demi Lovato's guitarist, but now she's back with Alice. But she's kind of all over, and she's a great player. Great player, and she's got a great solo career. And now she's played for NASCAR before. So now she's playing for NASCAR. Now, I did not know this. I did not know this was a thing. Nita is the official guitarist of the Los Angeles Rams. So I wonder what kind of play the coach says, bring in the guitarist. That's fascinating. Does every team have an official guitarist? And that could be an awesome topic. Detroit, well, their official guitarist would have to be Ted Nugent, right? The Motor City Madman. San Francisco 49ers, Neil Schon, right? Or maybe Metallica. I don't know. Maybe one of those guys. That's a topic rich for picking. Well, think about that. If Nita Strauss is the official guitarist of the Los Angeles Rams, who are all the other official guitarists of the NFL? Maybe Ace Frehley is the official guitarist of the New York Giants or Jets. Who knows? Never heard of such a thing, but it's fascinating. From the more money old guys can spend category, Pink Floyd continues their collection. No. Let me rephrase that. Pink Floyd continues their celebration of their iconic Dark Side of the Moon album with the release of a new collector's edition of the album on crystal clear vinyl. The new album will be released as a a double album, 180-gram single-sided LP. Why? Okay, so basically what they've done is LPs are two-sided. So now they're going to make it 2 albums, but just single-sided. You know why they do that, I'm guessing. And I guess there's a kind of logic here. A record changer. Do people still use record changers? Well, you could load up both sides like this and hear the whole thing without having to get up and turn things over. I don't know if people use record changers scratch up your records. I don't know if the audio files that are willing to plunk down $100 for an LP would be using record changers. But whatever, it's fascinating. So again, if you got $100 to blow, and you're an old guy that's got your record collection in your basement, I won't name names, you can buy this new commemorative edition on crystal clear, single-sided, double LP vinyl. So far, they've released a 50th anniversary box set of Dark Side of the Moon back in March of 2023, a celebratory book about the album. They also released a CD edition and first ever vinyl issue of the album live at Wembley Empire Pool, London, 1974, and a new version on vinyl, CD, and Blu-ray in this past October. And of course, Roger Waters did his kind of weird spoken word, stripped down version. We didn't hear much about that once it was released, but that's available to you as well. That's the news. What is the news? Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for following us on X, Facebook, Twitter. As always, please email me, classicguitarrock@mail.com. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye.